All right, welcome everyone. My name is Mark Caesar. I am the host of the Financial Freedom Through Apartment Investing, a proud affiliate of the GOB Network of Apartment Investors. And today we have Mr. Chris Davisson. For those who were anticipating this meeting from, I guess, 2-3 weeks ago, we do apologize, but of course, Chris has some fires to put out. And as an investor, we all deal with fires every day. So I'm very appreciative and grateful that he took the time out to be willing to jump back on again. And today we're finally going to hear the amazing story of how Chris went from $0 to $12 million in 15 months, simply leveraging partnerships. Brief background on Chris. He is the owner of the Unstoppable Investors based out of the Ohio area. He has worn many different hats in the real estate space, from contractor, realtor, wholesaler, and now multifamily investor. Chris has taken his business from 0 doors to 104 days in 15 months. His goal is to help or partner with others to collectively grow their real estate portfolios. He places a huge importance on building relationships with a win-win mindset, and in which both parties provide value to each other based on their specific needs, rather than focusing on how. Chris believes it is far more important to focus on who. After all, real estate is all about your network. Chris has a goal of amassing $100 million in assets under management in real estate by making 100 other investors $1 million in their real estate portfolios. If that doesn't scream out 10x goals, everyone, I don't know what else does. That is truly 10x. So without further ado, Mr. Chris Davisson, the floor is yours, sir. Thank you for being on.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. I'm real excited. Love sharing my story, but also I think after you guys spend a little time with me, you'll realize two things. One is I'm not very good looking, and two, I'm not very smart. So if I could do it, you definitely can do it. So,
indeed.
You guys you and Greg are much better looking than I am. So you guys.
Awesome.
Real quick, my background. Yeah, I know Pam was on here. Really excited. She's a new investor. Especially if you're a new investor, I think this is going to be a great time tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're also going to learn some stuff. I got to start out by admitting I lied to you a little bit, Mark, and I apologize. I did my business in 15 months, but I've been a contractor since 1994, building relationships and trying to do the right thing. A realtor since 2005, building relationships and trying to do the right thing. So even though our business took off, I was doing a lot of flips and I was doing a lot of projects for other people. But I didn't start out until probably, like I said, 15 months ago. During COVID, just started out. And we bought 19 doors last year total. Our first deal was 7 doors we bought together, single family houses we bought and remodeled. And then this year, I think we have, so actually the 109, we're closing on this week. We're closing on 17 doors. We're closing for additional 6. So we're just doing that this week. So that's kind of what so our numbers are always changing. My wife just asked me a little bit ago, now how many places do you own? And I go, I don't know. It's always changing. So I'm not trying to lie. I have to be honest. It does change. A bit about my background. How I kind of did things was, for me, everybody's different, but to be a big fish in a small pond, it just knowing ships really deep, digging down deeper in relationships. I recommend a lot of books. I read about a book a week, not because I'm that smart, but I just have to. I just have to get that much knowledge. And one of the books you talked about was Who Not How, How to Find People by Dan Sullivan. It's not a very hard read. I listened to it about 20 times on Audible. Then I got smart and bought the book and made notes in the book. And so my partner and I were just trying to help guys get off drugs, get off the streets. And he had a little church building. We were doing some Bible studies in the morning and helping guys with housing who were homeless or off drugs. And we tried to help about 300 different guys during that time frame. After about a year and a half of just helping guys, we're like, hey, I have a construction company. I do flips. You do rentals. He suggested, hey, let's just partner up. So in about April, May of 2020, we partnered up. And I used all my network, and he used his. He had a lot of resources, having a lot of rental houses, So we just started buying, multifamily, single family, and I just made all the connections I could think of. Anybody could think of who had rental properties, who was interested in rental properties. And then I read a good book by Joe Fairless, best ever apartment syndication book. I didn't know anything about apartment syndicating, but I read it, and I did what he said. He said, "Hey, start a meetup group." So I said, "All right." So then I decided this is great. So I started a second meetup group. I said, "Hey, this is great. I'm not online. Maybe Mark can help me with the technology. I don't know. I need to figure that piece out." And then they already had a meetup group going on Friday mornings for 63 consecutive years. They had a real estate meetup group going on. So I got involved in that. Once a month, I lead in that now. And just being up front in front of people, it just people think you know what's going on. All I knew is how to swing a hammer, and I knew a little bit about real estate. And then right away, I started learning right away. Hey, how do you do owner financing? I love owner financing. How do you get the owner to carry the note, to carry the down payment? I just started asking questions. And then our first deal, we bought 7 doors for 180,000 and put 15,000 down, and the owner still's carrying the note to this day. And that's how we've done a lot of our real estate. Also looked at people in our network with private money, just partnering with them. They give us private money and we invest it. We give them a good return. And that's really how things started snowballing, because our investors liked what we were doing. We were honest, and our character is really important. And all I did is reach into my network. I just started making phone calls to people I knew who had deals, who I thought might have deals, just telling them what we're doing, what we're wanting to buy. And I got around, a lot of older guys. And this is one segment of the population that are elderly, which people just miss out on. And these guys have already done it. They already have a lot of money. And the game's kind of over for them. They're just like, hey, I don't feel like I have much to offer. These are the guys that can tell you how to do everything. So we got about 4 mentors around us who knew what they were doing. And they just started leading us to people, bankers, to deals, to things they didn't want to do. They didn't have time or didn't want to do it. And it just became a great source of deal flow for us and capital. And we have a mastermind group, and all the guys in it are older than me. But it's just been great, as well as the women who are in our group as well. They're all older than us, but they have a wealth of resources. And just realizing and capitalizing on their knowledge has been awesome for us. So that's kind of how we started. We just partnered together. We leveraged our partner's a commercial builder. He leveraged his construction skills. I was more residential. So I focused on acquiring things, putting money together, funding. I really enjoy the art of the deal. It's kind of when I really, I just love putting deals together, talking to people, trying to solve problems. And, being a contractor, I understand a little bit, but you really don't have to be a contractor or a realtor to understand. A lot of deals came to us through other wholesalers, and wholesalers, I always say, should be your best friends, or commercial brokers should be your best friends. If you tell them what you want, they're willing to go out and look for it for you. And I think in May of this year, I made $27,500 just by having wholesalers and connecting to them, but to buyers, not even the deals that we bought, just other deals. And I'm not bragging about that. I'm just saying I used my network, and I didn't have the goal to make money. I just wanted to connect people. By doing that, we really got blessed, and we ended up paying cash for a house with that money. And I joined some groups because of that money. It was really good to do that. And also we're helping a lot of new investors get started. A lot of people just don't know. So the biggest thing I find is 2 questions I always get. If you're new, this is really important. Should I start? Should I get an LLC or not get an LLC? I hear that all the time. I said, well, if you don't have any property, don't worry about losing it. This is just, I'm not an attorney, so take it with a grain of salt. Go buy a property and then get an LLC and have the LLC or the property pay for it. That's what I tell everybody. And the second one is fear. I know for me, years, fear held me back just to step out by faith. One of our biggest properties we bought was a property we bought for $825,000 with no money down, and it's worth 1.4 million the day we bought it. So we had 550,000 in equity, but I was afraid to buy it. I knew the sellers, they weren't selling it to anybody else, but we didn't have the cash for the down payment. So in fear, I didn't act. My partner said, let's act like we have the cash. I go, but we don't. He said, just act like we have the cash. So we made an offer at like 11 a.m. The owner was in Florida. They accepted our offer here in Ohio by 1 p.m. and we were in contract. We sat down with a banker. commercial banker. Got to know him real well. He's done a lot of deals for us now. He said, hey, you guys have some other property. We'll just use that as collateral. I said, let me get this straight. I asked him 3 times. He goes, yeah, you guys can buy these properties, use the property you own as collateral. We did that. And we had no money out of pocket. And for us, that just blew my mind that we could leverage like that and have other properties with leverage. We're really debt adverse. So we try to keep everything on the value. I lived through 2008 and 12. You could buy a house. There's no way you're going to refinance it. The bank wasn't going to do it. And then they start not wanting to lend, and they became real tight on lending. I'm not negative at all. I'm very positive, but I do think you have to be careful if you over leverage. I had a lot of friends who lost all their properties because they over leveraged. So being smart about debt is really important and not over leveraging. I know that's not very popular to most people, but I found it's prudent. And I think things now I see the market's kind of slowing down a little bit, and it may still ride for 3 more years. But in my opinion, we've kind of peaked out based on what I see prices and how things are sitting in the market a little bit more. But that's just my opinion. So looking at everything we've kind of done in the last 15 months has been great, but it's because of our network, building relationships. I'm constantly sending out thank you cards. I got 50 thank you cards sitting on my desk right now. I see, somebody's waving there. I see that. Thank you cards are important. Also, having lunch. Never Eat Alone is a great book. I'm big on books. I think I lost you there. Oh, shoot. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Your video just went off.
There we go.
Okay, perfect.
Back up?
Yes.
See, you gave me a smartphone. I start hitting buttons. I'm in trouble. So. It just goes to show you don't have to be smart to do his business at all. So
That's true.
People always say, you want to do a Zoom call? I go, yeah. Why don't I give you, if you have a phone, I'll just call you. So, I said, look, so I'm all about doing coffees, lunches. I stack a lot of appointments that way. I'm big on face-to-face. I think that's the highest leverage you can get is face-to-face appointments. I see Greg shaking his head. Phone calls are the second best, way to leverage somebody. And then third is, like what we're doing right now, Zoom. And I think anything below that should just be marketing, talking about things, but trying to close a deal or get business should be face-to-face. Even if you're, out of state, I work with a lot of out-of-state investors. And I love out-of-state investors. I love educating folks. And I think by doing that, it's really encouraged me to partner with others. And like I said, I really believe, I don't look at things as 10X like you said, Mark. I just believe this is my goal. We hit over 100 doors in a year. I think I'll double that, which would be 200 doors by next July. I want to double that. And then in 3.5 years, we're going to be at 1,000 doors that we physically own on our own. This will be from equity partners and debt partners that we're going to buy out. But just having a goal and then wanting to hit that and looking to see who can help you. Because when you say how, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you say you can't afford something, your mind just shuts down. But when you say, how can I afford it? Once again, or who do I need? Who do I need in my business? And people start coming around. And we got so many people that I just didn't see that would be partners with us, that would give us deals and pass deals on to us. And it really is exciting to see how, I'm a faith background. It's exciting to see how my faith has grown tremendously. And it's just been a journey. But once again, the journey's been good. But leveraging my network and really knowing the people around you. This is what I tell everybody. I preach this. Make a list. Do a time audit of what you do time-wise and see where your 80% of your energy should be spent on things that are going to give you a good return and make you money. And 20% of things are just going to be things you have to do. But knock out an hour to 2 hours a day for people. And for me, it was taking thank you notes. Who are my top 150 people in my group? I did a quick Google sheet, put them all down. I'm not good at Google Sheets. So I hired a virtual assistant to do a Google Sheet for me. I just keep giving them my names. They plug them in. Thank God for virtual assistants. They saved my life. I have 2 now. That's how much I love them. Listen, for $6 to $10 an hour, you can't beat it. That's called leverage. You know what I mean? In my book, it's an investment is how I see it. And I didn't have the money when I first did it, virtual assistant. Now I can't afford not to have a virtual assistant. It just saved my life. So when I hired my virtual assistant, they put all these charts together. She has a marketing degree. My virtual assistant has a marketing degree. She does all my social media platform, all my stuff. So when I leveraged the 150 people in my network who I thought I could add value and they could bring me value, then I just started focusing on those people. Then I focused on the top 15 people. And that is where almost all my deals, all my cash flows come from, all my passive investing money, and just pouring out into those people. Then asking, who else do you know? Or how can I add value to what you're doing? And that'll put you in front of so many people that have what you want in a business or even in a personal relationship wise. And they'll want to add value just because you asked that question to them. So that's been a force multiplier for me, is just asking, how can I add value to what you're doing? And then they'll be honest. They'll tell you their needs, what they're looking for. Hey, I need a property. Hey, I'm looking for storage units in the Midwest. Then I have my wholesale team. I have a wholesale business. I go and I find wholesale deals in the Midwest. And then I find a good deal. They're like, hey, what can I do for you? Well, I don't do multifamily, but tell you what, I got some friends who invest in multifamily. Let me give you their number. They can talk to you. I've been able to pick up a lot of deals that way, a lot of fun. So I'm real excited about things. I don't want to keep ranting. I definitely want to hear some questions. I love answering questions. I love sharing, but I can talk all day. That's just how I'm wired. But Mark, I want to open up some questions. I don't want to manipulate everything today. So
Sure,
go ahead
no,
there.
no worries. So let's unfold this a little and go a little deeper. And I mean, being that there are so many avenues when it comes to investing, and I know this is a platform for multifamily, but we're not exclusively, tied down to multifamily. But you mentioned you leverage, you found the top 150 or 200 individuals within your network, and you sort of just broke it down to see, what everyone needed and how you can help them. How did you use that system to actually get your first, apartment or your first couple of units on the multifamily side?
I appreciate that. First thing I knew about, I'm not from a big town. We're kind of in Newark's about 30 miles east of Columbus, Ohio. It's a major market. We're kind of a bedroom community. So we do a lot of investing in and around Columbus. And I really feel there's less competition. So our goal, our target market is 5 to 50 doors. That's kind of our target. We have 9 full-time contractors that work for us. I have 2 retail contractors that work for us. So we can fix about anything, and we really feel comfortable in that space. So that being said, I just contact everybody I know that would have any kind of, 2 doors up to 100 doors. And I just start contacting people, just cold calling. Hey, it's Chris. How you been? What's going on? Can we get lunch? Can we get coffee? And it didn't take but 2 appointments till I found my first deal. They had 3 single family homes in MLS. I said, hey, what else do they have? What else do you have? Or do you have a package? They sold us a package of houses, and they put it all together, and it was cheaper than the 3 houses that were in MLS. The 7 properties were cheaper. And it's just asking the right questions, just asking people. And obviously it has to be win-win. I said, hey, look, I know you didn't make very money for a commission as an agent. Let me give you a little bit more money. And now she sends me deals. She called me last week on a deal that we had. So we just, don't look at other people as competition. Look at them as, partners. Hey, how can I partner? How can I help you? How can I add value to your business? And by doing that, naturally, they're going to want to reciprocate, not in a, what do I call it, manipulative way, but it's just a helping way. Hey, how can I add value to what you're doing, Mark? How can I add value to what Greg's doing? To me, and I think as you bring value to people, they're naturally going to want to reciprocate, and they're going to want to be a part of what you're doing. And so if that answers your question, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just talking to people who might know people, either directly talking to people that will help you, because people do want to help. Friends, family, other realtors, bankers, they want to help you if you ask. And if you say you're new, like, look, I'm looking for help, what would you recommend? And then be quiet, let them talk.
Well said. Now, I'm not sure if I've asked you this before, in our private time, but what is the most amount of doors under one roof as far as multifamily is concerned that you currently own outside of everything else?
So we have a 24 unit, we own 10 units, a 10, 17, 220 units. Right now, we're trying to work on a 90 unit deal right now. So we're working on that right now. It's going to be an owner finance deal. So we're just trying to, get the right piece of the puzzle, make sure we solve their problem because they have a problem for sure. They want to sell it. Just trying to build that relationship. So we have stuff from single families we bought for 8,000 to stuff we paid, 2.6 million for. So and we are in Ohio. You're in New York, so I know 2.6 will get you on the Upper East Side. Will get you a condo, right?
Indeed, it would, if not more. Now, with that said, I know the climate that we're in for multifamily right now, so I think across real estate is a very compressed climate. Prices are ridiculously high, cap rates are super compressed. How are you, and I know you alluded to that building relationship is a key, but how are you guys finding those good deals? And are you guys finding difficulty to acquire those deals? Because I think a lot, speaking for myself, I have a ton of issues to find, good deals. Either I'm getting, overbidded by by the competitors or other investors. People are willing to pay more. How are you guys in your team faring in today's market?
So two things. I'm from West Virginia originally, so I try to keep things real simple. All right. So the two things I see, there's two problems in real estate. So what I boiled it down to. So I'm like, how do I solve these two problems? So one is deal flow. How do you find good deals? Okay. And then the other was cash flow. So how do you find cash for those deals? And really, that's it. I mean, that's all it is, real estate. So I just kept it real simple. So I say, hey, what do I have to do to find good deals? I start looking in my area, who has good deals all the time, who's buying stuff, who already has the property. Ask them how they got it. Let me buy you lunch. How'd you find your deals? What did you do? Who'd you connect with? I mean, I got a friend that's got 277 doors, owns them all free and clear. He's 80 years old. Love the guy. We have lunch once a week. I asked him how he did it. He just started buying stuff. He bought everybody else out, had partners, bought them all out. Bought another apartment building, had partners, bought them all out. So, for his, it was a slow grind, a slow thing, but it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's just not. I wish it was. I wish I could tell you do this. But the thing I found, Mark, is what markets are competitive. And I don't want to be a small fish in a big pond. I just don't want to do that. There's several books out there talking about being the market expert, the market leader. So we're in, the Columbus major market area. I have a meetup group in Franklinton. It's kind of a trendy area of Columbus, Ohio. I do a group there because a lot of my people are from there, but we're in the outskirts. We're not like head to head, toe to toe with all the big hitters, all the institutional people coming in out of state, out of country. I'm just not going toe to toe with those people. They're going to pay more money every time, and it's not worth it. Numbers never make sense. Now I sell things to those people all the time. Don't get me wrong, but who I buy from. I buy from mom and pop. I buy for things that are distressed, that need value, that we can do forced appreciation. Like I said, we have a lot of contractors that work with us. We go in, we make it nice, we raise the rents about 6 months to 24 months, and we make it a nice place to live. Safe, clean, affordable housing is kind of our thing. And but I'm not going toe to toe in the big areas where everything's hot. So look at the areas where you have numbers are really important. Demographics are huge. Look for low unemployment. Area where we live in particular, our county is a county beside Columbus, Ohio. Amazon just had a big facility. Facebook, Google are building big facilities. These are jobs that are going to come. Look for areas because Amazon, Google, and Facebook are putting a ton of demographics into where they're going. Just all you got to follow them around, and then look for multifamily in those areas. They're going to pop up and take off. It's just going to happen by necessity. So I just try to keep things simple that way versus fighting with everybody else, in the huge areas. And for maybe it's out of state investing for you, or maybe it's just somebody, or come to visit and find an area, and then find one person you can trust that'll help you get started in that area. So hope that answers your question.
No, it definitely does. It definitely pinpoints what I think a lot of us should understand is that one of the main metrics is to know your market. Know who are the key players in the market, and if they're, as you eloquently stated, you don't want to be a small fish in a large pond, because again, I try not to compete with. I'm in North Carolina right now, and I try not to compete with all the big guys out here because I know I won't stand a chance. And a lot of the trading that I see happen in my market is typically all the big guys who are willing to, pay $500,000, $1 million over. I know I can't do that. I have a fiduciary responsibility to my investors to make sure that they're safe, they're protected. And I'm pretty sure that if I want them to have repeat business, I want to make sure that they understand, okay, I'm not going to put myself out there and risk your money and have no work, have nothing to say to you after that. So I definitely understand that. Let's see, what other questions? I had another question. So partnerships, not all partnerships work. Not everyone can be a good partner. What are qualities that you look for in partnerships when you're building your team to that has helped you get from 0 to 12 million?
So big thing is being like-minded. I always say begin with the end in mind. One of my favorite books is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I know it's an older book, but everything in that book is gold for a business and for a strategy. And beginning with the end in mind is really important. I mean, most marriages fail. Let's be honest. Most marriages end in divorce. I hate to say that, but it's true. And all business partnerships are going to end eventually. Somebody's going to die. So you got to have things set up when somebody dies. And I see a lot of people who don't set things up for their spouses and kids and their family. And it's always a mess, especially if you have partners involved. So trustworthy, loyal, dependable is what I say is kind of my 3. And invest with someone or have them invest with you passively to get to know them a little bit and how they act in a business sense before you do a true a joint venture or a partnership. I have a faith background, so is my partner. He and I worked together. We were in ministry for about 2 years trying to help guys get off the street. And I knew his heart and he knew mine. So things were going to get hard, but we still can count on each other and know we're going to do the right thing for each other. And that's how we really blossomed, just took off and compounded our efforts because I trust him emphatically. He trusts me emphatically. That is very, very hard to do. We say win-win because, Mark, you and I might have a deal. I think it's win-win, but you might think it's win-lose, or you might think you're winning and I'm losing. Or it's very hard to do win-win. But I think by asking the person, hey, what does a win-win deal look for you? Because every deal is win-win. If I buy a property, they get the cash, that's a win for them and a win for me. But I don't want to do one deal. I want to do 10 deals with that person, 50 deals with that person. So I want them to walk away feeling like it was good. It wasn't like they took the shirt off my back, but it was good, fair. I was fair to them. And by doing that, I've got multiple deals that way and multiple people to invest with us and reinvest their money. But it's hard to do win-win. But if you start out with beginning with the end in mind, looking at exit strategy, how's this partnership going to end? Is it one apartment building? Is it one deal that we're done? Do we have an easy way to get out? Can we refinance and get both of us out or one of us out? But beginning with the exit strategy is very important because things can go wrong. So if you have an exit strategy right away, it just makes it easier. I always say partnerships are like marriage. Super easy to get into and really hard to get out of. So that's
Yeah,
obviously
very
you
true.
want to make sure that you like the people at least. So.
Very true.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate before I open up the room for anyone who has any questions. I know there are a lot of people who say that multifamily is a better vehicle than single family. I'm a proponent. I believe it. Being that you play both roles, which do you think, let's say for someone, if I'm new and I'm starting out, which do you think would be more advantageous for me to tackle? Should I start in multifamily? Should I start single family? Or should I automatically jump into multifamily, and why?
Well, 2 things I'll say. They have mentors and they both sides of the street. They have vehement arguments. I love getting in the middle and just poking the bear on both sides. And I do both. So one thing I want to say, and I don't want to correct anybody, but I always say this: the deal of a lifetime comes around once a week, and you have to be laser focused on what you want. If you have a definite major purpose and you have specific goals of what you want to do, and I have specific goals, that's what you need to pursue. And when you're laser focused and you hear the word multifamily, your ears are going to peak up. And you're going to think, hey, that person's talking about multifamily or single family. And you're just going to look and find these things. It's like when you buy a new car. You see that new car everywhere. You buy a first apartment building, you see apartment buildings everywhere. And my kids call me now, Dad, I saw a for rent sign at an apartment building. That's one of my strategies. Hey, I see you have a place for rent. Would you be interested in selling? I mean, so it's just things peak up. And I train five boys. I've trained them all. I give you $1 if you see a for rent or a for sale sign. Call me. My boys made more money doing that than their allowance, so they always call me.
Very nice.
So 2 things. I play devil's advocate. Single families are always easier to sell, easier to flip. They're just it's an easier commodity to get in and out of. So I'll say that. Rich Dad Poor Dad says you're not going to become a multimillionaire one single family at a time. So I took his advice. We start buying 17 houses at a time, 20 houses at a time, 30 houses at a time that were cash flowing. And, so now we buy multi-million apartment buildings. We also buy multi-blocks of houses. We buy portfolios of houses, like 90 doors I was telling you about. We're looking at buying 90 single family homes. And, we're trying to get the bandwidth for that right now in place to take care of all that. But once again, if it's all under one roof, it can be easier to manage. It can be much easier to take care of. You have one property manager for 100 doors, but you get one drug dealer in there. And we had 2 drug dealers in a multifamily. That was really hard to get out, and everybody else wanted out too. So there's pros and cons to everything. I don't want to be negative, but starting out, it's just easier to get into a single family. And now we're leveraging, Mark, our single families to buy bigger blocks of houses. They're single families or multifamily apartments and storage units is kind of what we're doing. So, but I definitely think multifamily for us, especially 5 doors and up, because it's a different animal from lending 5 doors and up. It's so much easier to get lending on 5 doors or more. So I'm an advocate for both, but definitely you can get rich and you can exponentially grow your business faster in multifamily. So
Awesome. I appreciate the both sides that you just presented. I will definitely open up the floor. If anyone has any questions for Chris, feel free to ask your questions. Greg, you look ready to ask a question, sir.
Actually, I do have a question. Chris, I actually like your attitude. I like you, man. The way you talking and your perspective, and of course the faith also is very important. And I'm glad to see that you were able to actually get a partnership, very organically, to where it wasn't what you were planning, but it happened to have matched naturally. Now, what would you recommend, or how would you recommend one go about seeking a partner? And the reason I'm asking that, of course, it doesn't seem like you were seeking a partner; it just came together organically. But for those of us who might be seeking partnerships, what would you recommend for us to look for and to look out for?
That's a good question. One of my mentors, he's been doing real estate. I think he was the first guy to do 1031 exchanges east of the Mississippi. It started out in California, as I understand, and he's just been a pioneer, just in investing. He put together. Man, I wish I would have shared it with the group. I apologize, Mark. I'll give this, and you can send it out to your to a LinkedIn link. It's
No problem.
138 questions to ask when you partner. I'm like, man, that's heavy. 138. I said, I got married and asked my wife like 2 questions. Do you think I'm attractive, and do you want to get married? So just got to ask the right questions. Hey, how are they doing financially? I had a partnership one time. I had a very lucrative business doing short sales in 2009. He and I were killing it. He was in the office. I would go out and talk to other realtors. We would expedite the short sale process. 6 figures just doing short sales, and I was finding a lot of deals that way. He had IRS problems. I didn't know his marriage was on the rocks. He's getting a divorce. He said he quit. I'm just wired not to be in the office. So I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be in office all day making phone calls. And when he quit, I went from making really good money to making no money in a short sale business. So you got to know people. I think part of it is, you said, organically, is how you get to know people. And then as you get to know them, if this is somebody you want to partner with. Friends and family are the worst partners ever, if I can be honest with you. Maybe take their money and passively partner with them, but you don't want them to be actively making decisions in your day-to-day business. It's a nightmare. And I do take friends and family's money, but I won't partner with them. I won't rent to my friends and family either. They say, you have anything available? I go, no, not for you. I'm sorry. I'm nice about it. But so finding people, like you said, you like and trust. And think about it, Greg, life's so short. Don't you want to hang around people you like? I mean, if this is somebody, it's because they have money or have access to capital or deals. I don't like the guy. He's a snob. I don't want to hang out with him. So I would say that is just find people you really click with, and then ask them the right questions. Do you have any issues? And, just understand their background and understand your background, what your goals are, and making sure they align. So I'll send that doc out to you, Mark. You can post that on LinkedIn, or it's a good PDF to share. It really is.
Thank you so much.
Definitely will. So we have a question in the chat from Tommy Brandt. He asked, what was the deal that you lost money on?
The one I sold. Never sell, Tommy. Whatever you do, if you hang on to real estate long enough, She's very forgiving. She'll always take you back in. She might make you sleep out in the cold sometimes in the doghouse, but she'll always let you back in. We made some deals. Here's the thing. Sometimes you'll buy for cash flow, and those things aren't always great appreciators. We buy a lot of cash flow deals. Mobile home parks, I think they're one of the worst investments out there. I got tons of friends that invest in mobile home parks. They cash flow like crazy, but they don't appreciate. So it's like, you're buying something, you got tons of cash flow, but it's not appreciating. So it's really knowing what your strategy is. So I bought places where we've had tons of appreciation, but no cash flow because they're A-type properties. I bought C properties that just blew up, and we forced appreciation. We made them nicer, changed the whole dynamic of the community. I'm not real smart. I cheat. I go to bigger pockets. I pay $100 a year. They have calculators on there that are really graphs and charts. My banker loves them. He thinks I'm brilliant. Takes me about 5 minutes. We always say this: it's hard to lose in real estate if you buy smart. Now, if you're buying, like you said, Mark, you're outbidding guys by 500,000, you're going to lose your shirt. You just are. If you do your numbers, you stick to your numbers, you're going to win 9 times out of 10. If you don't, and you go past your bid number, you go past your numbers because you want something, it becomes emotional, you're going to lose. So just even if you have a bad deal, sticking with it and staying with the deal, it will eventually appreciate, or it will eventually cash flow. Now, if it's so bad and you have to get rid of it and sell it, make a loss, just sell it. Just get rid of it. We haven't had any, luckily we haven't had any yet. We're real strict. And like I said, I'm a market expert because I'm in a small market. I know my market real well. And that's the only reason why I probably haven't lost. But, if there's a downturn, I could lose everything. But once again, I think we're set up real well for that. We're in really good communities that have really good rents. And even 2008 and 12, all of our communities rented out really well. So we're looking at past indicators like that. But just don't overpay is the thing I would say.
Awesome. Great question, Tommy. I definitely, that's something I definitely would have asked myself. From Stephanie Shannon, she asked, what advice do you have for someone purchasing multifamily for the first time? Great question.
So 2 things. One is talk to somebody who's already in multifamily, who's been very successful in it. Maybe not even in your market. Go to bigger pockets or talk to somebody like Mark. Talk to somebody who's already done it. Have them look at the numbers with you. They're not going to be a direct competitor. You say, hey, look, would you look at this? And there's always a risk of people wanting to steal your deal or talk about your deal. But get somebody, get a coach or get somebody above you, could be a mentor and you can trust, to look at the numbers with you. I think that's one of the most important things you can do, is just get somebody who's already done it, even if they're just one step ahead. And a lot of times in my meetup groups, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I don't have the most properties. A lot of guys have thousands of doors. I'm just glad they show up. And I say, hey, if I'm the smartest guy in the room, we all have a problem, because I haven't done everything. But I think getting around people, coffee and lunch, spend coffee and lunch. I'm telling you, I call it an investment. Even if you go to a nice steak dinner and spend $300, you sit down with somebody who can give you some knowledge. I'm always looking for $2,000 ideas. Like this group tonight, if I go to any meetup group, any cup of coffee, lunch, how can I walk away with a $2,000 idea? And when you do that, your ears peak up. You start hearing things differently. You start hearing things you can use and you can want to plug in. So definitely get a mentor. I'm more than willing to reach out to you. I'm sure Mark is as well. But find somebody you like and trust and spend some time with you and just talk to you.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions for Chris?
Yeah, I have a question. Hey, Mark, thanks for putting this on, and thanks, Chris, for coming on. You do off-market deals, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. 2 things. Mark said something about having a hard time finding deals, and I felt real bad for him because we give up more deals than we buy. I apologize, Mark. I always say the deal of a lifetime comes around once a week. It really does. And then number 2, so 2 problems in real estate: deal flow and cash flow, right? So I'll keep going with that. So I realized a long time ago, how do I find good deals? Who's finding good deals? Once it hits the MLS, LoopNet, CREXI, Berkshire Hathaway, it's already not a good deal in my mind. Once it hits, everybody else has a chance to look at it. It's because maybe it might be an okay deal. I talk in baseball terms. It might be a good single, maybe a double. It's not going to be a triple usually. It's definitely not going to be a home run. That's just my opinion. So I created my own market. I'm not very smart. I start talking to every wholesaler I can find. I have a list of about 200 some wholesalers that I can connect with. You guys should do this. It's free. Go on Facebook groups, go on, LinkedIn, everywhere. You can find groups of wholesalers and talk to them, beat the streets. Become friends with them. Ask how you can add value. It's the number one thing I ask. How can I add value to what you're doing? Well, hey, if I find something in your market, would you buy it? And then I buy it. They know I'll perform right away. And guess what that happens? Good deals leads to great deals. So they'll send me good deals at first. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for something better. They'll go out and do all the legwork, find it, lock it up. I'll tell you now what I do. This is my secret. I talk to the wholesalers, and they're usually out of market. I'll email me their contract. I'll go to the elderly person's house, sign the paperwork for the multifamily apartment, email it back to them with my assignment contract, and nobody else has even seen the deal except for me and the wholesaler. That's how I get most of my deals, to be honest with you. I'm beating the streets, talking to people. These people are already doing all the legwork. Who cares if they're making $5,000 to $20,000 in the deal? If it's still a good deal after that, who cares? I don't care if they're making money. I want them to make money because they're going to send me more deals. That's my secret. So just network with as many wholesalers and real estate brokers as you can. And then when a good deal comes and you buy it, they're going to want to bring you more deals because now they don't have to go shop around. They don't have to find a buyer who may or may not perform or who wants to talk about it or get it in contract and then tire kick and ask for a list of repairs. They want somebody who's going to buy it, get it done, and then they can make money on it. So hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah, well, there was kind of a second part to that. So I'm somewhat engaged in some properties right now. They're technically off market, but it's a gentleman who's just he's retiring, getting out of the game. And any recommendations for, because right now there's I don't know, one or two agents between me and him. Any recommendations for making it personal with this gentleman maybe?
Yeah, two things. What state are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'm in California. This gentleman is in New Mexico.
Okay, it'd be worthwhile to drive or fly down there. Most states, by law, they have to. If you request to present an offer and face to face, they have to honor that with your agent. And that'd be the first thing I'd do. Face to face, the highest form of communication. Then getting on a Zoom meeting like this, on a phone call, I would spend the money, especially if it's worthwhile, a big enough deal. I would just request between your agent, their agent. If your agent can't make it, you want to fly down there, drive down there. I think it'd be critical. If he's trying to get out, he has a problem to solve, and there might be even a component of owner financing, either down payment or the whole thing. But it's really important to get face to face with that person, if at all possible. I hope that helps.
Okay. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a question from Pam as well. She wanted to know, how did you first finance your home, the deals that you have, passive investments from friends or family, or working as a contractor?
Yes, all those. So my first house, I bought it, FHA mortgage, sold it, made $3,000. The next house I bought it, sold it, made $50,000. Next house, I lived in all these, bought it, sold it, made $100,000. Last house we just bought into, we'll probably make $250,000 on it, just because we kept moving up in properties. But owner financing, getting started, I love owner financing. You aren't going to be able to do it all the time, but just talking to people, just asking questions. Hey, what are you going to do with the money? If I pay you more money than what you want, with interest, would you be interested in that? But the first thing is getting the property locked up in contract. Then I worry about financing. And it is kind of a faith journey. If it's a good deal, I don't want it to go away, so I get it in contract immediately. And then I worry about getting the financing. Now, I don't want to get a property locked up in contract and not be able to execute, because you get a bad reputation. Nobody's going to give you a deal. But I know that our lender will lend us 80% of that purchase price, whatever we buy. So I'm pretty confident in that. And now it's just, now it's passive investors investing with us. But that 150 people, you got to take 2 hours and write down 150 people. They're going to give you financing. They're going to be able to help you. Home equity lines of credit, your own home equity line of credit, the Bailyn 401k money is just sitting there People can invest that in real estate through IRAs. I don't want to get too deep in the woods, but money, it's not hard to find money, just like it's not hard to find deals. You just have to work for it. It's like having a garden. You can't just plant the seeds and let them go. You have to work with them. You have to till it, pick the weeds up. You got to water them, put some, you got to put some fertilizer on it. But the plants are going to grow if you take care of them. So same thing with deals. Money's out there to be found. People want to invest. If you have a good deal, if you have a good deal, call me or Mark first. But if you have a good deal, it's a great deal. Call me if it's a great deal. If it's a good deal, call Mark. All right. And we'll definitely work with you. But start with your own money if you can. If you can't, I help people every day leverage money. People want to help. Bankers want to help. Short-term money. There's a lot of hard money out there. There's a lot of, we don't do short-term money. We do passive investors. They give money to us. We give them money back once we refinance or cash out of a deal. And they almost always put their money back in with us. So there's a lot of ways to do it. There's a lot of good books out there. Raising Private Capital is a great book by Hunter Thompson. He's one of my mentors. I'm in his group. There's also Matt Faircloth has a book. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's got to do with private money.
I believe it is Raising Private Capital.
Yes. Yep. So those books had tons of, and if you go on Bigger Pockets, there's so many forums to figure out where to get your money at your first deal. And partner with your mom or dad. Partner with somebody who has some capital for a deal. And then once you get started, you could use that capital from that deal to the next deal. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome. Does anyone else have any other questions for Chris?
Me.
Go ahead, Christina.
What is a good deal and what is a great deal for him?
I'm from the Midwest. I'm just where I was born. So I think my wife wants to move to Florida, but there's no good deals in my mind down there. I'm just joking. We're just real lucky. We get 45 to 55% cash on cash returns here, only because we're really picky and we shop around. But a good deal is anything, internal rate of there's all kinds of different numbers. I like cash on cash, NOI. There's all kinds of numbers like that. Cap rates. We're real selective. If it's not a home run, we're just not going to make an offer right away. So you got to figure out what your good deal is, in your market. Depends on where you are. And maybe it's not being in your market, maybe it's being out of state. I talk to people all the time that love to get 6 to 8% IRR. I'm not excited about that. I get excited about 20%, 30%. People are like, how do you find that? I go, well, I look, I just look. So it is networking. It is. I can't say that enough. People are going to bring deals to you that they don't want or can't fund. They have too many. And we do that all the time. And it's just finding good numbers that make sense for you. And once you know the numbers make sense, just make an offer and then start working like heck to get it funded and get it figured out. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yes,
right.
Thanks.
Any further question? We'll take one more questions and then we'll try to have at least 2 or 3 breakout rooms so you guys can formally get introduced and do some networking and connect with each other.
Love networking.
All right. Since we don't have any more questions, Chris, I want to thank you for, again, taking the time out to educate us. I definitely learned a lot, and I will definitely be reaching out to you offline to probe your mind a little more. And hopefully whenever I touch down in the Ohio area, you'll be my first call for coffee and lunch.
I love it.
Because I definitely want to get in on those, 45% cash on cash deals. That sounds very great. All right. So again, thank you. Thank you everyone for jumping on. So we're going to drop off for some breakout rooms. And again, we appreciate you guys being here.